Shakespeare wrote, "Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown." And the champion Chicago Bulls have exemplified this in the playoffs. But for those who thought a changing of the guard was imminent, one need not look any further than Game 5. The Bulls sent a message they were not about to relinquish the crown just yet. But now the stage switches back to Cleveland, where the Cavaliers rode the emotions of their devoted faithful to a thunderous victory in Game 4. And these fans are not ready for this rush to end.
We're going to be #1 in basketball.
This is the authentic marshmallow. We do bite back.
For a city starved for a winner, the sweet taste of victory tonight would be the biggest win in franchise history. Will the Cavs treat the fans to an encore performance of Game 4, or is the final curtain about to come down on this dream season?
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1992 NBA playoffs. Tonight, Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yes, the fans here in Cleveland love their Cavaliers. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, the season is on the line. They need a win to extend the series to a 7th and final game Sunday night in Chicago. And we welcome you to a rocking Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio. Hi, everybody. Marv Albert, along with the czar of the color spreader, Mike Fratello. First, the injury rundown. Brad Daugherty, who hit his hand on the rim on this play Wednesday in Game 5, is still bothered by a sprained middle finger on his right hand. And Mark Price, with a sprained left ankle, also sustained in the game on Wednesday, although Price says he is all right. So, Mike, the major concern for the Cavaliers is the severity of Daugherty's hand injury.
I spoke to Brad Daugherty a few moments ago, and he's in a lot of pain. Actually, the middle finger on his shooting hand was dislocated in the last game. He was in a terrific amount of pain at that time, and it still is about the same now. They have no splint on there because he's afraid it will restrict his movement. It was a big problem for the Cavalier front line. And talking about that front line, in game number 5, it was the disappearance of the Cavs front line that caused them their biggest concern. In the first 4 games, they combined for 51% shooting and a total of 53 points per game. In game 5, they dropped all the way down to 21% shooting and a total of just 20 points. So if they're to have a chance here this evening, that front line has to have a big game.
And for the Bulls, Wednesday night in Chicago, one of the most impressive performances of the playoffs, and they did it by turning up their defensive effort, a phase of their game that we have not seen in several weeks.
Well, what we haven't seen from the Chicago Bulls recently are those sudden spurts of energy which produce a lot of easy scores. And we saw that in game number 5. It started out at the defensive end with steals, and Michael Jordan led the way by coming up with 4 of those steals, kicking it out. Those will produce a lot of easy baskets. Then when they became demoralized, they picked their pockets on the way to a team of 13 steals for the game. Defense intimidation, block shots inside by Scottie Williams, and then rebounding, 15 rebounds by Scottie Pippen, leading the fast break. Those effort points combined, steals, block shots, fast break. That's Chicago Bulls basketball. That's the way they want to start out this evening.
All right, now let's go over to a man who has elevated sideline reporting to, indeed, a primetime type level. Here's Rahj'iladelphia.
Thank you, Marvin, especially for that very sincere introduction. Now, before Game 5, we talked about the finger pointing that was going on among the Bulls, which would lead one to believe that there are the bickering Bulls. That's not the case. Coach Phil Jackson runs his team in a democratic way. Scottie Pippen told me that not only does he encourage us to read books, but he encourages us to have an opinion and also express that opinion. The only thing is, don't let it get in the way of the way they played. And by the way they played in Game 5, the finger pointing, no negatives at all. One other point, Marv, Craig Hodges injured his ankle yesterday, will not suit up tonight. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, Brad Daugherty and Mark Price will give it a shot despite their injuries as Cleveland seeks to take the series back to Chicago for a 7th and final game. 20,273 capacity crowd here at the Richfield Coliseum. A look at the Chicago Bulls starting lineup: John Paxson and Michael Jordan. Open in the backcourt, Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen up front. And the center is Bill Cartwright. The coach of the Bulls, Phil Jackson. He has the best playoff winning percentage of all active coaches. And here's how the Cleveland Cavaliers open up with Mark Price despite the injured ankle. Craig Elo at the guards. Larry Nance and Mike Sanders on the front line, along with Brad Daugherty, who will be playing in pain coming off the 1-for-10 effort in Chicago on Wednesday night. Lenny Wilkins, 815 career wins as an NBA coach, and that is impressive. Number 5 on the all-time list. Well, as this series has progressed, feelings on both sides have been bruised, but players on both clubs tell me that even with the incidents in Game 5, Game 6, both, as it turns out, involving Danny Ferry, there are no hard feelings, and there is mutual respect. We'll have to see how that plays out this evening.
And what you have is a Chicago Bull team that understands the importance of putting away the Cavaliers tonight. They'll try and jump on them early. They want to end this series, go home and get the same amount of rest as their next opponent if they can.
Joe Crawford, Bill Oakes, Paul Mahalik are the officials as the crowd responds with Cleveland controlling the tip. Nance played by Grant. Daugherty. Back for Price. And Paxson comes away with it. Lost control. Nance with the steal. Feeds.
Brad Daugherty has taken a lot of the tape off that they had on that middle finger trying to support it. I guess he just could not control the basketball.
Jordan with 2 on the shot clock. And it's picked off by Pippen. Elo with the steal. Daugherty with the pass for Nance. Cavaliers 4 and the Bulls nothing. Michael Jordan hearing the boos right at the start. Cartwright rebounded by Grant. And Daugherty comes off the ball. Price. And back come the Bulls. Cavaliers, though, are back down court. Pippen with a notion to make his move. Now got the opportunity, and he's hit by Daugherty. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, I was watching Brad Daugherty during the warm-ups. He took the majority of his shots with his left hand, but he had the 2 middle fingers of his right hand in a brace. He felt uncomfortable with that, took the brace off, and now he just has that 1 injured finger wrap. Marv?
All right, Ahmad. Brad Daugherty with the sprained middle finger on his right hand, and you can watch him grimace every time he makes contact with the ball.
It's right at the base of his middle finger in that fatty, padded part of your hand. It's the part that every time you touch the basketball, whether you rebound, whether you catch a pass as you go to shoot it, there's some contact there. It's a very painful situation, but The man has to play. He's going to play. Give it his best shot.
And earlier in the playoffs, Brad Daugherty was bothered by a sprained right ankle. That during the series against the Boston Celtics. And he played right through that. It was outstanding. Cavaliers 4 and the Bulls 2. Nance, who was very quiet in Game 5, was stripped. Pippen, what a change of pace move by Scottie Pippen as he beat both Price and Sanders.
Well, the only difference between this game and the last one in the beginning is Pippen has asserted himself both times, but this evening Pippen's shots are going down. He missed some easy ones in game number 5. The double team as Nance took the ball in a little too deep on his dribble penetration, and then Pippen has been given the green light to try and make some things happen off the dribble, turns the corner on Sanders, no defensive help.
Foul committed by Paxson. Sanders having difficulty finding someone and calls for the timeout, preventing a 5-second violation. This is game number 6 of this best-of-7 Eastern Conference final. Back in game 1, it was Scottie Pippen with the 29-point, 12-rebound, 9-assist performance. Chicago had an easy time. They beat Cleveland in the surprise game. Game 2 in Chicago, led by Brad Daugherty, who scored 28. Cleveland with a wipeout victory over the Bulls in Chicago. Game 3, Michael Jordan, 36 points. And the Bulls here in Cleveland, that was last Saturday afternoon, jumped in front by 19-2, 26-4, never headed. Game 4, John Williams off the bench for 18. And Cleveland came up with a victory in Game 5. Jordan with 37. And the Bulls put the Cavaliers away in the 4th quarter, a 15-0 run. Cavaliers did not hit a field goal until 3.5 minutes were left. Blocking foul call. It's on Pippen.
The Bulls defense is up, very aggressive. They're trying to jump in the passing lanes, trying to pick up charges, offensive fouls against the Cavaliers. They remember how the last game ended. They had the Cavaliers demoralized, their heads were down. They're trying to bury them early in this game and hope they'll go away.
Remember, that was a 2-point game going to the 4th quarter. Nance off a pretty lead from Price. Cavaliers 6 and the Bulls 4. In that 4th quarter in Chicago on Wednesday, Cleveland missed its first 10 shots. Chicago went on a 17-1 run. Cleveland 5 for 18 in that 4th quarter. Here's Jordan with the head fake. Yes. So the game is tied at 6.
Elo starts out playing Michael Jordan a little bit soft. I mean by that he backs off a step and sees if he's got his outside jumper going early.
Brad Daugherty. So the Cavaliers lead 8-6. Jordan for Cartwright. Pretty dish off by Jordan.
Their offense, when it's working at high efficiency, is beautiful to watch. There's movement without the ball. They play very unselfish basketball. There's good interior passing. It's a pretty offense to watch.
And Elo is called for his first.
That'll be his first personal no-team foul.
The Cleveland Cavaliers hoping to tie the series, sending it back to Chicago for Game 7 on Sunday night. Price picked it off, could hold on. Here's Jordan to the fadeaway, and Daugherty with the box out. Brad Daugherty playing here in the 1st quarter with high energy. Nance, yes. Cleveland by 2.
They play that little sudden transition pick and roll game, 2-man game, Price and Daugherty, Price and Nance, and it catches Chicago without any help defense.
Paxson is wide open for 3. And out comes Price. Bulls able to get back. Here's Daugherty giving it up. And Elo regroups. Sanders with a mismatch. Yes. Cleveland 12, Chicago 8. Cavaliers have come out in very aggressive fashion.
And the Cavaliers' big concern is rebounding the basketball. They're being out-rebounded by about 7 a game right now. After the first 5 games, they have to eliminate second shots.
Grant to the boards. Oh, what a play by Horace Grant. Horace with 14 rebounds in Game 5 on Wednesday night.
And after 5 games, an 80-57 advantage in the offensive boards for Chicago.
There's Pippen back to the offense. Cleveland with a 2-point lead. Doherty jumping out on a switch. Cartwright is wide open. Yes.
And that's Chicago's version of Cleveland's transition pick and roll game. Difference, Cleveland played it with Price and a big guy. Chicago played it with their small forward, Scottie Pippen, and a big guy.
Cleveland and Chicago tied at 12. John Hot Rod Williams getting set to check in. The call away from the ball. It's against Cartwright.
Bodying people, trying to stop cutters from coming across the lane.
Whoa.
And then a late recovery that time. The push by Elo. Foul.
A physical foul. Timeout has been called. Here's Michael Jordan has had enormous games against the Cavaliers. He was also involved in that melee the other day with Danny Ferry. So every time that Jordan touches the ball, he hears the boos from the crowd, a subject we discussed with Michael.
It's a challenge. You know, when they boo me, it's a challenge that evidently I must be doing something right that they don't like. So I got to continue to do that. No player likes to be booed, but in that circumstance, I use it as energy for me to continue to play hard. I mean, they show that certain situations they don't like the things that I do. Well, in certain situations I don't like the things that they do. But either way, it's a competitive situation for me.
When they were booing you, Marv, prior to the game, was that a reflection of something good you're doing?
Well, actually, I use it in the same manner Michael does to rev myself up. Cleveland has come out hitting 6 of 9 from the field. Chicago 5 of 11. 6 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Nance. So Nance has opened up 4 of 4, looking to turn it around from the 4 of 12 in Chicago on Wednesday. A non-factor following his strong game here in game number 4. The Bulls with the ball. They're trailing by 2. Here's Grant. Horace Grant continues his solid play, his second field goal, and the game is tied at 14. Price tied up. Grant and Pippen tying up. Price.
One of the things that Lenny Wilkins feels he can do is get Larry Nance down low and take advantage of his size against Scottie Pippen. That time he did it against both Pippen and Grant in the double team.
And Mike Sanders is back. Larry Nance taken out and headed back to the Cleveland locker room. Here's a pitch for Pippen, who got ahead of the field and blew the stop. Now the Cavaliers try to take advantage, but Pippen hustles back. We're tied at 14. Doherty, yes. Very strong move by Brad Doherty.
And he got the shot off before the Bulls could double team him from the baseline. That's the maneuver they used in last year's championship series to double team Magic from the baseline, his blind side. They never got there that last time.
Foul committed by Sanders. His first. Just under 5 minutes remaining. First quarter. Cavaliers 16 and the Bulls 14. Jordan able to work his way, then gave it up. So Scottie Pippen with his second field goal has tied the game at 16. Doherty, Williams up front, Elo and Price in the backcourt. Action all over Price. And Jordan to the board. Elo played him well, stopping the ball. Here's Jordan. Yes. That time Michael Jordan used the screen from Bill Cartwright. You saw Larry Nance make his way back and apparently had a problem with his contact lens, and he's ready to check back in. The double team on Doherty, who pitches it out. Sanders, and Jordan gets it down again. Pippen is hanging, and Pippen this time is able to hammer it home.
Sanders had two mistakes on the same play. First, he should have thrown one more pass to a wide-open Craig Elo to his right. Then he never covered the backcourt when he's the furthest guy out on offense. His responsibility when he shoots a long jumper, stay back and cover the other basket.
Elo hits the three. Bulls 20, and the Cavaliers 19. Hartlight to the fadeaway, and it's tipped home. Pippen getting inside, giving Chicago a 22-19 advantage.
There's that problem on the offensive boards again.
Foul has been called. It's on Paxson, and here is Nance back. Prior to every home game, a traditional good luck kiss for Casey Marie Nance, Larry's 2-year-old daughter. Thus far, the kiss has brought all kinds of good fortune for Larry, who's hit his first 4 from the field. 3 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Price from deep. Nance tried to save it, but he's out of bounds. B.J. Armstrong has come on for the first time. Phil Jackson has taken a timeout. It's the Bulls 22, the Cavaliers 19.
A few moments ago at the offensive end for Cleveland, Mike Sanders is rotating into the top of the circle area. Craig Elo right here is rotating on out to a spot-up area, and Scottie Pippen, the defensive player, will make a strong effort to run at the ball and challenge. Here, Sanders should reverse it, one more pass. Instead, he fires and stays in the half court. No one is back to cover Pippen, who runs out for the easy score.
Scottie Pippen off to the hot start, 4 of 5, 10 points. Both clubs have shot well in this first quarter. Chicago 10 of 18, and Cleveland at 60%, hitting 9 of 15. Bulls lead by 3. Terrell Brandon, the rookie from the University of Oregon, has come on, and he is matched with B.J. Armstrong. So Armstrong and Jordan in the backcourt. Jordan couldn't find anyone. Elo off the strip, met by Pippen. Elo for 3. At this point, Craig Elo has played Jordan very well. Pippen with a wide open 3. And Nance gets to it.
Terrell Brandon replacing Mark Price. Price starting out 0 for 5 from the floor. He's got to start nailing some jumpers to open up that inside game for the Cavaliers.
Pippen trying to come over to help out. Here's Nance. Good recovery. It appeared he was about to be tied up. Bulls by 1. 1:45 remaining in the first. Here's Pippen. And Brandon moves down. Brandon with the step. Rejected by Pippen. Armstrong has a 4-on-2. Goes to the pull-up. Yes.
And that's what breaks your heart. It happened in the last game to the Cavaliers early. They got to the front of the rim, but 7 block shots in game number 5 for Chicago turned a lot of what looked to be like sure scores for Cleveland into scores for Chicago at the other end.
B.J. Armstrong had a good one the other night, 12 points, as the bench got back into it for Chicago. Shot clock down to 4. Here's Hot Rod Williams. And Hot Rod did not have a good one in game 5, hoping to get back to the offense. Scottie Pippen with 12 points. Bulls now by 5 with 42 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Phil Jackson had mentioned to us that Scottie Pippen really exerted himself in the first quarter of last game, but just couldn't get the rolls, didn't get the scores on the board. As a result, this game he's getting the scores.
Here's Doherty. Jackson wants to hold for a final shot.
Spread the floor, let Michael go one-on-one, run the clock down, and try and either finish for Michael, solo act, or kick out for an open jumper in the corner.
And Elo puts it away. Elo claiming that it was deflected off Jordan. But the official, Bill Oakes, says no, and a 20-second timeout is taken by Chicago with 4 3/10 seconds remaining in the quarter.
When Chicago spreads the floor, they put Pippen in the right corner, B.J. Armstrong on the other side. Jordan's trying to get past Elo and then either kick to Pippen or take it himself. There's the flick, but it is Hot Rod's left hand. Hot Rod's left hand sneaks in there and deflects it out of bounds. From a different angle, as Jordan starts to penetrate, Hot Rod sticks the left hand in. It's a good call by the official, an excellent call on a tough look.
So the Bulls will throw in with 4 3/10 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Chicago in the midst of a 10-5 run. Cleveland has hit only one of its last 6. Jordan for Pippen. That's a 24-second violation. There was a 1-second differential, but time has run out in this first quarter. Strong finish for Chicago. Strong quarter for Scottie Pippen and Larry Nance. After 1, here at the Coliseum in Richfield, it's the Bulls 26, the Cavaliers 21.
Ahmad Rashad back at Richfield Coliseum, and just to show you how big a game this is here, 20,273 people. These are the standing room only people here. They can't see the court. They just want to get on television, I guess. Marv, can you see me from up here? These are all fans of yours.
All right, Ahmad, things getting a bit physical in the stands with our crack sideline man. Standing ovation from this capacity crowd as the Cavaliers step back on. Good shooting first quarter. Both teams at 50%. Chicago 12 for 24. Cleveland 10 of 20. The Bulls with a 10-5 run to conclude the first, and they lead by 5.
Very quick first quarter. Only 2 free throw attempts by both teams combined.
Once again, Jordan bottled up and lost it. Played by Armstrong. Brandon and Elo in the backcourt. Doherty up front with Williams and Nance. Shot clock at 5. Out of 3. Here's Doherty, blocked. And it's rebounded by Grant. Armstrong and Jordan in the backcourt. Caught right up front with Pippen and Grant as this second quarter gets underway. Michael Jordan, rebounded by John Williams. Here's Doherty on the run. 8 points for Brad Doherty, despite that sprained middle finger, turning it from the 1 of 10 Wednesday in Chicago. Michael Jordan has hit 3 of 7. He has 6. The Bulls 28 and the Cavaliers 23.
Getting back to Doherty for a second, it's his game plan that he can get 1 or 2 easy baskets by outrunning Cartwright, Purdue, Stacey King, Williams. He thinks he's that quick.
Armstrong changed his mind, was able to find Grant. Brown wanted to travel. For what it's worth, Chicago Bulls had the lead after 1, and it is called, let's see, offensive foul. It's on Brandon. For what it's worth, I'll get back to that point in a moment.
The big man finishing off the fast break with his left hand knows that he can run the floor.
The team that has led after the first quarter every game this series has won the game. And we have had some Large-scale differences after one quarter. 5-point lead for Chicago after one here tonight. Cartwright giving Chicago a 30-23 lead. And this the biggest lead of the game.
And that's what they're going to live with. Cartwright stepping back after they trap the pick and roll. They don't rotate to him hard. They give him that 17-footer from the baseline. He's going to have a lot of open shots if they keep going to that play, or Cleveland will have to change his defense.
Nice fake by Elo to set up Williams. Chicago by 5. Don Paxson has returned. Michael Jordan getting a rest. There's Pippen with the step. Elo fires down. And last touch by Nance. Good play by Pippen, leading to the deflection off Nance. Timeout taken. 3 minutes in. Second quarter. Well, Bulls with a 5-point lead. Michael Jordan on the quiet side, 3 for 7 to this point. Craig Elo's done a nice job against Michael. We asked Craig over the years, what adjustments has he made in defending against Jordan?
Well, at first, I was just so anxious to try to stop him, which is impossible, actually. I would get right up on him, and he would just drive right around me. And then I tried to back off of him, you know, through the coaching staff, saying this may help you, and make him shoot jumpers. And, you know, he started hitting jumpers on me, so that didn't work either. So I try to a little bit in between. When he doesn't have the ball, I try to stay real close with him, so he doesn't just get away from me. And then when he does have the ball, I try to stay arm's length where, you know, I can try to move with him, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't.
Well, Craig has given us every conceivable possibility.
It's the beginning of his book that he's going to write.
Yes.
He forgot to mention, you need help. You cannot play Michael Jordan by yourself. You've got to get a little bit or a lot of help from your friends.
Scott Williams has come on for the first time. He had an outstanding game in Chicago on Wednesday. Shot clock is at 3. Armstrong. And it will be Cleveland ball.
And because the Chicago Bulls have small guards out there, John Battle is on the floor right now for Cleveland.
Well, with Scott Williams entering, take a look at what the substitutes, the bench has accomplished for the Chicago Bulls. Scott Williams called for the foul.
Mike Sanders back to the
Now Mike Sanders returns. So Battle on the floor with Price, Nance, Williams, and Sanders on the front line. Here's Price. So Mark Price with his first field goal. He missed his first 5. The Bulls by 3. Williams surprised to find himself wide open. Sanders and the Cavaliers on a run have moved within 1. Grant, yes, a strong move by Horace Grant, wheeling in on Larry Nance. 6 points for Grant. The Bulls 32, the Cavaliers 29.
And the reason I mentioned earlier about Battle being on the floor, he's an offensive player for Lenny Wilkins. He can help this team get some points, but as long as Chicago had big guards on the floor, he was not playing. Battle, who knocks out the jumper, can score points in spurts. When Michael Jordan re-enters the game, we'll see if Lenny Wilkins leaves him on the floor now, because Jordan hurts Battle by backing him down.
The foul call away from the ball. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, Gary Briggs is now applying some electrical stimulation right to that injured joint of Brad Daugherty's right hand. They're trying to just keep the blood moving in there and trying to alleviate some of that pain. Marv?
And Brad Daugherty very effective in his stint on the floor. Hit 4 of 7, 8 points, along with 5 rebounds. Sanders called for the last foul. Off the inbound, Livingston, who just checked in, lost it.
A little slice cut, but the pass came under the basket. Livingston had nowhere to go.
Livingston with the rebound. So Phil Jackson going to his bench. He has Livingston and Williams out there, along with Grant, Jordan, and Paxson. Livingston with the fake and drew the foul.
Cleveland Cavaliers timeout.
A hack on Sanders, so that's 3 on Mike Sanders. We'll be right back. Can win 5 gold medals in Barcelona. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the most improved team in the NBA, with an increase of 24 wins from last season. San Antonio Spurs a plus 35 and 89-90 after David Robinson joined the club. Larry Bird contributing to that plus 32 for the Boston Celtics. Tom Chambers leading the Suns to that plus 27, and the Cavaliers turning it from the injury hit 33 and 49 season 2 years ago. They finished next to last in the Central Division with Mark Price going down with a knee injury. And this season, Cleveland 57 and 25. They finished second to Chicago, 57 wins, tying the franchise record and tying the Portland Trailblazers for second most wins behind the Chicago Bulls.
Coming into this game, Cleveland was averaging about 27 free throws a contest, and Chicago 24. Right now, Cleveland has not taken a free throw in this game. This will be the Bulls' 4th attempt at the foul line.
Livingston only a 62% free throw shooter. Bulls lead 33-31. And Lenny Wilkins staying with Price and Battle in the backcourt. Doherty is back up front with Nance and Williams. Price guarded by Paxson. He got picked off. Doherty, brother Williams to the rebound. Nance on the follow and a foul call.
Well, it's one of the areas where they have been pounded by Chicago on the offensive boards. We talk about the great spacing that Cleveland has in its offense. On the other hand, it could be a problem because they're spaced out so well, they don't get that opportunity to come up with second or third shots. And then again, they're such a good shooting team most of the time, you don't have that many misses to come up with.
And the Cavaliers to the line for the first time. Nance is an 82% free throw shooter. Chicago by 1. Price putting some pressure on Paxson. We come up on 6 minutes to go in this first half.
And here's what they go to, the post up right away. Jordan against Battles, what they're trying to get.
Grant, yes, he was given the shot, passed it up, changed his mind, and was able to drill it home.
And they even tried to get Michael late there as it swung around the floor to Grant. He looked for Jordan flashing in the lane, but then when his defensive player backed off, he had to shoot it.
Battle with his second field goal, and the Bulls lead by 1.
Well, it was a good decision by Lenny Wilkins. He's going to ride John Battle out and see if his offense can help enough to offset the defensive problems he has trying to guard a bigger Michael Jordan.
Crowd wanted to travel on Livingston, and Williams' pass went astray, intended for Grant.
One too many passes that time by Chicago on the inside. Williams should have taken it strong to the rim.
Now Doherty being played by Williams and stopped by Grant. They converged on Doherty, and Grant came up with the block. And here's Grant fouled.
When you go to the basket against Chicago, there's not just one guy, but there's usually 2 that come to try and get it, and they get it either in front or a lot of times from behind. Jordan, though, always with his head up, spots Grant, the power forward all the way down the floor. Williams did a good job of stopping the layup by reaching over another Bull who was trying to basically block him out.
Hot Rod Williams called for his first. Horace Grant to the line for the first time. So the Bulls with a 36-34 lead. Horace Grant in his 5th year out of Clemson. And it's been another solid performance by Horace. He has 10 points. Chicago leads by 3. Price indicating the play. Livingston switching off. Price recovers. And the foul being called by Bill Oakes. It's against the Bulls.
Foul is on number 50, Cliff Livingston.
Called on Livingston.
Well, we saw Mark Price almost come up with another turnover. And coming into this game, Price has had 24 assists and 17 turnovers prior to this game. That is not a real good turnover-assist ratio for a point guard the caliber of Mark Price.
Oh, battle with an acceleration move. And last touch by the Bulls. 4:35 remaining in this first half. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from the Coliseum in Richfield. Cavaliers looking to send the series back to Chicago for a 7th and final game. Price with his second field goal brings Cleveland within 1.
Mark Price just said, to heck with that turnover-assist ratio. I can shoot the basketball.
That running one-hander Price goes to is a shot you rarely see in the NBA. Here's Jordan. Livingston. Cliff Livingston showing his strength. Off the offensive boards. The Bulls lead 39-36.
Well, Phil Jackson has confidence once again in Cliff Livingston. He's putting in the game early, and Cliff responds.
Come on. Nance able to control. And he's fouled. Bulls want a jump ball, but contact made according to the official, Paul Mahalik.
And Livingston obviously doesn't agree with the call. He feels that that's all basketball, that it should be a jump ball. Doesn't matter. He's going to the foul line for 2. It's, yeah, hand is on the ball, but it's the body on the shoulder and the rest of the contact where the foul is called.
So Nance now 2 of 3. From the line, Larry Nance, the best shot-blocking forward in NBA history, although has not come up with big numbers in that department in this series. Livingston sitting down. Pippen is back, along with Cartwright. Grant also will get a rest. Horace Grant leads with 10 points. Chicago, 39. Cleveland, 38. Back out for Pippen. Met by Williams. Cartwright wide open again. Well, they continue to double up on Scottie Pippen. It has provided Bill Cartwright with a number of open shots.
Yeah, but that time they rotated hard at him and challenged the shot.
And Larry Nance has given Cleveland a 1-point lead. Here's Jordan. And he is fouled. No! They called a jump ball. The outside official, Bill Oakes, called the foul. That's what Phil Jackson is arguing. And Joe Crawford said no. It's a tie-up.
Phil Jackson has a valid point insofar as one official gave one hand signal, the other official gave the jump ball signal. Whether or not the one whistle came way ahead of time, that's what the argument will be about. Jordan going, there's the hand on it right there. Ball comes down, Crawford called jump. Billy Oakes had his hand raised for the foul signal.
A timeout is taken. When we come back, it will be indeed a jump ball.
My friends, is Bob Costas in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll see the hero's welcome given to the Western Conference champion Portland Trailblazers early this morning. We'll bring you Quinn Buckner's visit with the Cavs' Brad Daugherty, and we'll update you on today's events at the French Open. But for now, let's head back to the Richfield Coliseum and rejoin Marv Albert and Mike Fratello.
All right, Bob, 3:04 to go in this first half. Cleveland has come from 7 down. They lead by 1, and a disputed play just a moment ago.
Well, here's the play now as we break it down. Well, there, Joey Crawford's right. That is a jump ball. As we let it run, up, Billy Oakes is right. There's the foul on the right arm. And you know what? Phil Jackson's right, too. So everybody's right on the play to some extent, but we're going to have a jump ball. That's what counts.
The feeling that Joe Crawford had the better angle, and so that's why they are jumping it up, and it's controlled by Cleveland. Here's Price, chased by Pippen, and he's rejected by Pippen.
Well, another layup possibility, potential score that's stopped by Chicago's great defense.
Williams picks up the foul, his second.
Well, what do you do if you Mark Price going down the floor and you know that you got Scottie Pippen chasing? You don't have much choice. You either back it out, which, you know, nobody's going to like that decision, or you try to lay it up and he just jumps over the top of you and blocks it.
Both teams have committed 4 team fouls. Last touch by the Cavaliers. The Bulls will have it with 8 on the 24. Horace Grant checking back, replacing Scott Williams. 2:39 remaining in this first half. It's the Cavaliers 40 and the Bulls 39. To show you the way this series has gone, with Cleveland overtaking, that's a backcourt violation. Ball goes to Cleveland. With the Cavaliers coming from 7 down, this is the latest we have seen a lead change any game this series. Hot Rod Williams inbound. Twice in the backcourt. Williams up front with Nance and Doherty. Here's Nance. Stopped by Cartwright. Got a piece of it. Pippen with the spin, unloading to Paxson. And Michael Jordan. Here's the booze. Michael with a very quiet first half. He's been off. Loose ball foul called. A push against Cleveland. It's called on Doherty. Michael Jordan has hit only 3 of 9 from the floor. There was some question about his wrist, which he injured at the end of game number 5. For more on that, let's get over to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, action game number 4. Michael Jordan fell a couple of times on that wrist, and then in game 5, he fell on it again hard late in the game. Went to the hospital after the game to had it x-rayed and said that he felt pretty good today, but obviously that could have some effect on the way he's shooting the ball tonight.
Well, you have 2 players who have injuries, and it's affecting their shooting. The wrist to Michael Jordan, Mark Price with the bad ankle. He said it wasn't that bad. Well, he's shooting only 2 for 9 at this point in the game.
And Paxson able to get to it.
2 minutes, less than 2 minutes.
Here's Jordan. Grant on the follow. Chicago 43 and Cleveland 40.
But you've got to run the floor and make the transition defense. No reason why Chicago should have 4 players at one end and the other team, Cleveland, have only 2 back there. The follow-up shots, second shot attempts are killing the Cavaliers.
Elo for 3. Doherty gets to it, and he's pushed.
Ball is on number 5, John Paxson.
When you're back with numbers, there are 4 red shirts over the half-court line and only 2 back there at that time for Cleveland. The extra effort. Keep running through. Don't let them get the easy scores. You come in and help out your team with the extra effort.
John Paxson sitting down after collecting his 3rd foul. And Brad Doherty to the line for the first time. Well, Brad Doherty opened up with 23 game 1, 28 in game 2, and then the scoring totals went down. In game 3, he was said to be a decoy. In game 4, 14 points and 14 rebounds. Lenny Wilkins started to use him in a different manner, and then in game 5, he got off to the slow start, and then he hurt his finger, and he finished up 1 for 10, but he's come out strong with 10 points, 6 rebounds in this first half.
Well, he's their main post-up guy, and when he gets going and draws those double teams, it opens up shots for Price and Elo and the other perimeter guys for Cleveland.
Michael Jordan, 3 of 11. Here's Williams. Cavaliers by 1. Again, Pippen racing down and foul. Scottie Pippen has been in a track meet right throughout the ball game.
And Jordan taking on the big front line, hangs on a little bit longer than normal. He's on his way down, actually, when he shoots that thing, and that's not the normal lift that Jordan gets or the look that he wants at the basket.
Well, the Bulls were underplaying the injured wrist of Michael Jordan. Not much was said about it. Scottie Pippen with 13, and we can only guess if he is being affected by the bad wrist that Ahmad described a moment ago. Craig Elo did do an effective job earlier, but Jordan only 3 of 11 for 6 points in this first half. And Scottie Pippen, on the other hand, seems to have his legs very much into the flow of the offense. Chicago leads by 1. Elo from deep. Elo now 1 of 4. His only field goal was a 3-pointer in the first quarter. Nice pass from Pippen. And the ball goes to Cleveland. Last touch by Chicago. 35 seconds remaining in the half. Price finding Doherty, and he's fouled.
Tough pass, tough catch. Mark Price threading the needle to Doherty on the roll to the basket. But when you roll against Chicago, you draw a crowd. They have tremendous team quickness. They recover quickly. There they are closing down the lane, Livingston and Grant.
That's not where Doherty wants to be with that sprained finger. Fouled by Livingston.
I was going to ask Price, could you throw it just a little bit higher next time so I'm not reaching down in the middle of them both?
Now here's B.J. Armstrong for Cliff Livingston, who just collected his 3rd. In the past 2 seasons, Brad Doherty has transformed a body of baby fat into a mass of muscle. Has become a much stronger player. Clearly the best passing center in the NBA, and he's tied the game at 45. 20 seconds remaining in the first half. Shot clock at 5. Shot clock at 2. Here's Pippen. Final seconds. So at the half, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls are tied at 45 in Game 6 of this best of 7 Eastern Conference Final Series. Coming up, Bob Costas, Quinn Buckner with the Prudential halftime report. Chicago and Cleveland, 45 apiece. We'll be back in a moment.
Cavs all tied at 45 in Game 6. Pippen and Grant each with 14 to lead Chicago. And for once, Michael Jordan is not carrying them. 3 for 12 from the floor for a total of 6 points. Nance with 15, Doherty with 11 for the Cavaliers, and 7 rebounds for Brad Doherty as well. And despite the dislocated finger on the shooting hand, he has dunked twice and seemed not to be affected by that injury sustained in Game 5. And they're doing it essentially without Mark Price, who's 2 for 10 from the floor for just 4 points. Bob Costas at our Showtime studio in New York. Quinn Buckner will join me momentarily. The winner of the Bulls-Cavs series, of course, plays in the NBA Finals beginning Wednesday night against the Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers advanced by finishing off the Jazz in Utah last night. Here's a look at the scene when the team arrived back in Portland around midnight Pacific time. They were greeted by more than 2,000 of some of the league's most rabid fans. And at least one Blazer is looking for the world champs.
Hopefully we will be playing Chicago. Cleveland is, I look forward to playing whoever, but I would like to play Chicago. They've talked a lot of trash about us, and, hopefully we can silence them.
Now Michael gets to play the dumb team. We're just dumb enough to get to the finals, guys.
And they start one way or the other on Wednesday. Now, taking a look at the Eastern Conference Series, one of the reasons the Cavs had trouble in Game 5 against the Bulls in Chicago was the injury suffered by center Brad Daugherty. After dislocating the middle finger on his shooting hand, Daugherty hit only 1 of 10. That's not the sort of performance Cleveland fans have come to expect, and in fact, in the first half tonight, as we said, he's come back with 11 points and 7 rebounds. Regardless, Daugherty has taken his place among the league's best centers, a group that includes Robinson, Ewing, and Olajuwon. Quinn Buckner takes a look at how Daugherty got there.
Here's Daugherty. Oh,
His baby face was a distinct contrast to his level-headed nature. Raised in rural North Carolina, this 16-year-old thought he knew his future.
If I don't play professional basketball, which is not one of my goals, I'll have to get out in life, and cope with life and get a job just like everybody else. And I feel if I have a good academic background, it'll help a whole lot.
The youngster got his education at North Carolina and found work in Cleveland 6 years ago.
Brad, you've had a very good career so far here in the pros. You've obviously matured fast. You were young for college, young for the pros. How did that affect you?
Oh, it affected me a lot. I went to college. I was just turning 16, and the big thing was not exactly going to college. The big thing for me was getting my driver's license. So I had to apply that and learn. And Coach Smith really nurtured me through that situation. I mean, he didn't baby me. He brought me to the harsh reality of society that I was on my own more or less. But he would kind of monitor, and he let me grow. And then, turning 20, here I step into the pro game, and I'm playing a very physical, aggressive position, and it was tough. I mean, I was playing against men, and I was a young boy, and it was just a tough task to learn.
One of your strengths is passing. Where did you perfect that ability?
I actually perfected that playing with my older brothers. They wouldn't let me play with them because, they shot the basketball all the time. The only way they let me play is if I passed the ball to them. So, and if I didn't pass the ball, he'd smack me or something.
Daugherty is known to run the court all out. He wears his number 43 in honor of another pretty fast mover, stock car legend Richard Petty.
I met Richard Petty when I was a very, very young man, 8, 9, 10 years of age, and he made a lasting impression on me by just taking his time on a crowded day and talking with me and just, give me a little bit of his life, telling me a little bit about himself and what he likes to do, and that impression stuck in the back of my mind. And when I got older and was able to achieve some of the goals that I wanted to achieve as becoming a professional athlete, I always remembered that person, and I said, if I ever want to be like somebody, I want to be like him.
Battling against former North Carolina teammate Michael Jordan, Daugherty has learned from his elder, but he has a down-home trump card, and he's just waiting to play it.
Michael's just a tremendous leader by example. I've never met an individual as competitive or as good to heart as Michael. He's just truly a great guy, and the thing about Michael, though, is he's scared of snakes. And, being a country kid, I was always messing with snake stuff like that. So he knows I've got one up on him if I need it.
And at least for a half, he's got one up on him statistically. To review those numbers, here's what's happened through the first 24 minutes tonight. Very uncharacteristic for Jordan, especially in the playoffs, where, as we said last night, he's been scoring about 35% of his team's points.
Well, that has been the case with Michael Jordan. But what he's got is some help from his teammates. But in Brad Daugherty, what he's starting to do, one of the reasons he's become so much better is I think he's bulked up. He's really strong, and for whatever reason, people don't pay much attention to that. He gets on the block, he can't move him. What I like about what he does off the court, though, is this is a guy who rounds up his teammates, will take them to the Children's Hospital, and they'll sing Christmas carols. So he's a guy that really likes to give back to the community, but I do like the way he plays because I like the way he gets everybody else involved in the game.
Okay, up next, we're going to get Bud Collins and John McEnroe involved with a recap of today's action at the French Open. That's right after this message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. The leg of tennis's Grand Slam is taking place this week and next in Paris, the French Open. So far, things have gone very much according to form, and with a recap of today's action, here's the odd couple of tennis broadcasting, veteran Bud Collins and rookie John McEnroe.
The old tennis yard is quiet, and the old guard is gone. Today, Ivan Lendl went out to Jamie Onsens. Jimmy Connors is gone, and so are you, John McEnroe. But you're not out of the tournament. Welcome to NBC, and you're still in the doubles with young Agassi. Can he carry you?
He's been carrying me so far. It was a lot of fun today, and it's going to be a lot of fun to do the commentary for NBC.
Well, you won today with Andre Agassi, and Andre Agassi won in singles along with the other three of America's Forceful Four. Michael Chang, Jim Courier, Pete Sampras, and Jim Courier, his 19th straight win today over a very tough guy, Mancini.
Courier's playing as well as I've ever seen him play. I mean, mentally, he's the strongest guy in the circuit right now. He's going to be really tough to stop. He's my favorite at this point. But what's incredible is that there's 2 or 3 other Americans with a realistic chance of winning this. As you said, Chang, Sampras, and Agassi. And a couple years ago, there was barely an American that would make it to the past the first couple of rounds. So this is great for American tennis.
How it's changed, how Americans love clay, and how John McEnroe, I must ask, fined $7,500. Yeah, $7,500 for intemperate language the other day. Your reaction?
Well, I wish I hadn't said it. That's the first thing. But I also wish that the sport of tennis handled the microphone situation in the same manner that the football, baseball, and hockey sports do. I think it's a lot of fun when you see people go at each other, but when you really hear what's really said, it does turn you off, and I wish it hadn't happened.
Well, they're going to turn us off right now, but tomorrow, 3 Eastern Time, Michael Chang against Nicholas Culte and the French Open.
Wonder how McEnroe will handle the microphone situation in the NBC booth.
I will officially pass the baton as the reigning rookie. You give it to Mr. McEnroe. He is now the rookie of the broadcast booth.
Intemperate language in that situation will cost him a bit more than $7,500. And light up the switchboard, which we could use around here. We'll return with second half action. The Bulls and the Cavaliers tied at 45 right after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the companies of the Prudential. In a changing world, one thing remains rock solid: the Prudential.
Bulls and Cavaliers tied at 45. At the end of the first half, Michael Jordan, 21 minutes, only 3 of 12, 6 points, an un-Jordan-like performance. However, there could be a problem with the right wrist, as we mentioned earlier. For more on that, here's a report from Ahmad.
All right, Marv, I just spoke with Michael Jordan as he was on his way back out onto the court. He did confirm that the wrist was sore, but he gave me that warrior shrug like the game must go on, so he'll continue to play with it. Marv?
Yes, that warrior shrug. Something I know you have seen on many an occasion.
Yeah, I go on with you a lot of nights. It's very difficult.
Right. But Jordan averaged 32 points per game going into tonight's game against the Cavaliers. And either it's Craig Elo's excellent defensive work, or perhaps one of those oddities, an off night or off half for Jordan.
Well, Ahmad also spoke with the team doctor, and he basically said, look, it's not much more than this pain in there. He's playing with the pain, and the fact that he's 3 for 12, there's still 24 minutes remaining in the second half.
Yes, we have seen him turn it around on many an occasion. Let's take a look at some of the halftime statistics. Today's Miller Genuine Draft halftime stats. Mark Price having his problems, 2 of 10, only 4 points in the first half. The Bulls 42% from the floor. Cavaliers 46. Both clubs dropping off after the good start in the first quarter. The difference tonight, though, the fact that the Cleveland front line has gotten back into it after a very quiet game in Chicago.
And they certainly need John Williams chipping in a little bit more, because Mike Sanders at the small forward spot has been in foul trouble once again on the bench. They need another contributor up front.
So we're heading to the second half, tied at 45. Marv Albert with Lazar, the telestrator, Mike Fratello, along with Ahmad Rashad. At one point, Chicago led by as many as 7. We're tied at 45 as the game heads to the third quarter. The high point men for the Bulls. Grant and Pippen with 14. Jordan with only 6. And Larry Nance has had the hot hand, 6 of 7 from the field for his 15 points. Brad Daugherty, despite the finger injury, 4 of 8, 11 points, along with 7 rebounds. Paxson and Jordan in the backcourt. Cartwright up front with Grant and Pippen. Make it 3 of 13 for Michael Jordan. Mike Sanders called for his 4th.
You mentioned that Michael Jordan was struggling from the floor, but his backcourt partner, John Paxson, who was shooting over 61%, coming into this game, averaging over 8 points per game, blanked in the first half, 0 points.
Had only 1 shot opportunity, a 3-point attempt. Grant Bryant is 4 of 4 from the line. Scottie Pippen came up big, though, in the first half. 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Chicago 47 and Cleveland 45. Elo at the guards. Doherty, Nance, and Sanders up front. Lenny Wilkins staying with Mike Sanders despite the 4 fouls. Cartwright went down. Doherty, and it's rebounded by Cartwright. And Pippen overthrows Jordan. Good idea, but the pass off the mark.
Trying to get the running game going quickly. The long look down the floor. Jordan's out in front, calling for it, just a little bit too far.
Good look, and then Sanders stopped by Pippen. Nice pass, though, from Doherty. Pippen with the pull-up. Yes. Chicago 49 and Cleveland 45. The Cavaliers seeking to tie the series at 3 to bring it to a 7th game in Chicago on Sunday. The Bulls hoping to wrap it up to move on to face Portland for the NBA final. Last touch by the Bulls.
Well, the Bulls have come up with so many of these big defensive plays to save scoring opportunities that Cleveland thinks they got in the bank. Instead, they don't. And it's a result of the best shot-blocking team in the league is Cleveland. Chicago, way down the line, has come up big in this series.
The Bulls with their 6th blocked shot of the game. And a foul is called as Elo was bumped. Michael Jordan called for his first. A minute 40 gone by in the 3rd quarter. Cartwright saying Doherty was walking. Pippen with a steal, putting the move on Doherty. Oh, spectacular move by Pippen. He now has 18, and it forces the Cavaliers to take a timeout.
Lenny Wilkins trying to avoid the spurts, the runs that he knows Chicago can put up on the board. It starts with their defense in the passing lane, and then Pippen taking it all the way for the finish.
Oh, big show tonight. We have Mel Gibson wearing an even skimpier outfit than Sigourney Weaver had on last night. Kathleen Battle is here, very fine opera singer. We have Molly Ivins, political columnist. And our first sketch, you have to watch. We have all 3 presidential candidates on the show tonight. Even Perot is here. He's in Hollywood, and you know how this town is.
And that's after Marv and Mike finished calling this one from Cleveland. Jay Leno with The Tonight Show a half hour after the ball game. Let's go back to the Richfield Coliseum. Thanks, Jay.
All right, Bob, Chicago with a 51-45 lead on Cleveland with 2 minutes gone by in this 3rd quarter, and Cleveland has to be wary with Chicago running off 6 unanswered as they flash back to what took place in Game 5 in the 4th quarter in Chicago.
4th quarter starting out 15-0 that run, and then eventually 33-5 when they put the game away.
Already feeling for the presence of Cartwright. Nance, 7 of 9. He has 17. The Bulls 51. The Cavaliers 47.
As a head coach, it's all you can hope happens. You call a timeout, you try and stop it, you set something up, and then you pray the team knocks a shot out.
Jordan changed his mind. Pippen passed on the 3. Pippen on the recovery. And he'll go to the line. This has become, from the offensive point of view, Scottie Pippen's ball game.
Sometimes it's just the bounces, but Cleveland cannot continue to give Chicago those second chance opportunities. Cleveland has guys running out of there, trying to fill fast break lanes, and they haven't secured the basketball yet. Stay in, get the ball, go down and get a good shot if you're not sure of the fast break.
Foul was committed by Nance. Pippen has 19. Back in Game 4 of this series, where Scottie Pippen was not able to get into the offense You recall the 13-point first half, did not get the shots in the second half, 0 for 3 from the floor, was not happy about being out of the flow, worked his way back the other night in Chicago, and has come up very strong here this evening. Foul called on the Bulls.
Foul is on number 54, Morris.
That's the first picked up by Grant. It is a shooting foul. Phil Jackson arguing the call. He thought it should be a non-shooting foul.
Well, if Daugherty was trying to get those arms up towards the basket and then the foul took place, the official is correct in awarding the 2 free throw attempts. It looks like the first shot's going to come from Hot Rod, but he sees Daugherty going to the rim. There was no more dribble. He was on his way up.
Daugherty has hit 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Bulls 53, Cavaliers 49. Touch by Williams.
And Chicago ran that little split on the right side of the floor just to get Cleveland to switch so that Hot Rod would wind up guarding Michael Jordan. They try to get the ball right back to Michael so he could go one-on-one against Hot Rod.
9 on the shot clock. Grant could hang on. It'll be Cavalier possession.
One of the few good bounces that Cleveland has gotten.
Price working off the pick for the open shot. For Mark Price. That is only his 3rd field goal. Jordan stripped, but able to recapture. Paxson shooting. Yes. Chicago leading 55-51. Blocking foul committed by Paxson. That is his 4th personal.
That last jump shot was set up. Mark Price is running along the baseline to the corner. The defense tries to go over the top. Too much space in between. The result is the good pass by Elo, the wide open look by Price. Price with the quick crossover. Paxson anticipating, tries to step in and pick up the charge. No dice.
A.J. Armstrong has replaced John Paxson. We talked last night with Phil Jackson and asked how come we don't see the constant pressure defense by the Bulls that we saw so successfully a year ago. Once again, the Bulls all over the ball, and they have really had a terrific game in terms of block shots.
I think the first block came on the jumper right there. I think Pippen got a piece, and now what looks like a sure 2 by Nance. Again, a rejection by Chicago underneath.
Williams. He's hit from behind by Cartwright.
You must take the basketball strong to the rim and try and dunk it against teams that are blocking your shots. That way you will at least draw contact and get to the free throw line for free throw attempts. If you go up soft and try and lay it on the glass, active teams like Chicago, they'll go after and get the blocks and steals.
Hot Rod Williams has not shot well from the line during the playoffs. During the season, a 74% free throw shooter. Mike, we have talked many times about the success of the Bulls going on and off with the pressure defense. We talked about that last night with Phil Jackson. He said the major reason that you don't see it against the Cavaliers is because of the great respect they have for the quickness of Mark Price.
The fact that Cleveland attacks the Chicago press, tries to score, they line up a little bit differently on free throw attempts, which causes Chicago problems in getting into the press, and then their inability to trap Price and stop him off the dribble. He splits it and goes full steam ahead to try and get a score.
Crowd looking for the foul, nothing called. Mark Price so deceptively quick. Cavaliers with the ball, they're down by 2. 4.5 gone by in the 3rd. Elo. Nance getting a second opportunity, found Elo. Nance. 19 for Nance. The game tied at 55, and the Bulls call for time. capacity crowd reacting to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who come from behind, and they've tied the Bulls at 55. And there's Gordon Gunn, the chairman of the board of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Gordon, who is blind, attends games with the assistance of the radio play-by-play of the voice of the Cavs, Joe Tate. Gordon Gunn devotes a great deal of energy to the RP Foundation fighting blindness, and he is now its national chairman. Scottie Pippen is called for the foul. And the Bulls want to talk it over, and Phil Jackson is very upset.
Phil Jackson has been on the officials for the last couple of minutes, and that time exploded on the timeout. And he's still after Joe Crawford.
Assistant coach Jim Clemens shielding Phil Jackson from the officials. You recall that in the series against the New York Knicks, Phil Jackson was ejected. Was hit with 2 technical fouls thrown out by Dick Bavetta, and then Jim Clemens took over the reins, and the Knicks went on to beat the Bulls at Madison Square Garden.
And Phil Jackson should keep in mind that Joe Crawford was the gentleman who threw out Clyde Drexler in the Portland-Utah game the other night.
So many Chicago players have cited their lack of hunger as the reason they have struggled at times during the course of the playoffs, and we talked about that with Phil.
Well, I think we made great sacrifices last year to win a championship. You know, a lot of things. Guys, you know, just saying, hey, no beer after the games. We'll just swear off alcohol until his playoffs finished. You know, we'll sacrifice this. Make exceptions to, you know, late hours or, you know, fooling around or anything else that went on in order to achieve one thing, and that was to win a championship. This year we followed it with a successful season, and supposedly the success is supposed to follow us into the championship series. That has not happened.
It takes that type of dedication from the team, and it comes internally. They agree on those types of things. How high a price are you willing to pay to win a championship? And then once you win the first one, are you willing to do it once again because it's tougher the second time around?
6:55 remaining. Third quarter. The game is tied at 55. And Mark Price to the line because Chicago is over the limit. They've gone over the foul limit early in this third quarter. Mark Price, the #1 free throw shooter in the NBA, just under 95%. Mark Price, bothered by a sprained left ankle, said to be a very mild sprain. He is 8 points for Price, although he has not shot well. Armstrong. And Elo comes away with it. Nance for through. Armstrong with the pull-up, yes. And the game is tied at 57. Halfway through the third, Grant fronting Williams, called for the foul.
And Cleveland taking a little bit of the pressure off of Mark Price, letting Craig Elo play the point guard role and try and feed down low in the lane area. And with Jordan guarding it, that's not easy, and it's also not easy getting open down inside.
That's number 3, called on Horace Grant. And with the Bulls going over the limit early, once again, the Cavaliers to the line. Hot Rod Williams, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. For those of you who may have just tuned in, it has been a very quiet game for Michael Jordan. In the first half, Jordan 3 for 12. He's attempted only 1 shot here in the third, and he missed it. 3 of 13. His last field goal came 2 minutes into into the second quarter. That's been it. Does not even seem to be looking for his shots.
Well, right now he's trying to create open shots for his teammates. He's making the moves, getting in the lane, and looking to elevate and drop off.
Well, right here he looked for the shot. And he's now 3 of 14. Price eluding Jordan. And Price able to chase it down. Nice pass from Nance. John Williams providing Cleveland with a 3-point lead.
Hot Rod was up at the top of the circle. He saw the opening. It was like someone pushed the button. All of a sudden, he just dove the lane, got the nice pass.
Pippen with the setup for Grant. Cleveland 60, Chicago 59 as we come up on 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Price with the runner, yes.
And Mark Price never let B.J. Armstrong catch up on the rotation. He caught it, put it on the floor, to the basket.
Whoa! Michael Jordan seemed to lose the attention span for just an instant and turned it over. Here's Nance for Elo. The Cavaliers lead by 5. Cartwright's 4th field goal. He has 8. Cleveland 64 and Chicago 61. The Cavaliers attempting to tie the series at 3 apiece. Price thought he had Elo in the corner. It'll be Chicago ball. If Cleveland can come up with a victory, they will play a 7th and final game back at Chicago Stadium Sunday night. We'll be there starting 6:30 Eastern Time. If Chicago wins, it is on to face the Portland Trail Blazers in the NBA Championship Series. Jordan getting in close, and that is his first field goal since early second quarter. He had missed 7 consecutive shots.
And let's see if Chicago continues to get the ball now. Next couple trips down to Michael Jordan. Try to get him on the roll. Try to get him off here in the second half.
Nance is on fire. He has 21. Cleveland by 3. Larry Nance has hit 9 of 13. Jordan with the pull-up. Doherty with the rebound.
Michael's shooting that ball. It's almost a line drive right now. Very little lift on the shot.
Price able to get it off to Williams. Nance. Crowd wants the foul. The Cavaliers very unhappy with the no call. And it was last touched by Cleveland. It was called a clean block by Pippen, his 4th block shot. Cartwright angling in. And the foul is called on Doherty. That's his 3rd.
Brad Doherty gets a little chuckle out of that because what he's trying to say is with the contact that's been going on in the lane area, to call that little hand check, not even worth it.
Armstrong followed by Price. Now Jordan posting up. Here's Jordan. Yes, and it counts. Michael Jordan. Finally hitting double figures. 10 points for Jordan. And he'll go to the line. It was fouled by Williams.
Well, first, this shot is a line drive. There's very little lift or arc in the shot by Michael Jordan. There's the miss. But the next time he gets the ball, Doherty tries to come over and double team, but takes a poor angle. Jordan just sees the open lane, finishes at the rim.
And this is the first time that Jordan has gone to the line. Chicago's hit 13 of 14 from the free throw line. 3-point play for Jordan to tie the game. 2.5 remaining in the third quarter. Elo and Armstrong involved
away from the ball, and the foul is called on P.J. Armstrong.
You had mentioned earlier, Marv, the fact that Cleveland was into the bonus situation very early in the quarter. It's so important for teams because small fouls like that, the loose ball fouls, the incidental contact, when the whistle blows, you're rewarded by going to the free throw line, and you're able to pick up some easy extra points.
Greg Elo to the line for the first time. He's only a 71% free throw shooter. It's unusual when you consider the fact that he has such good range from outside. He's an excellent three-point man. Cavaliers by 2. Jordan down court in a hurry. He thought he was fouled. Here's Williams. Look out. It's a block on Jordan.
Well, this is Michael's version of that hard foul. Doesn't try to hurt anyone. Rotates up to take the charge. Accepts the fact that it might be called a foul, but he's not going to give up the easy layup.
Second foul committed by Jordan. Hot Rod Williams to the line. He's 3 of 4. Cavaliers lead by 3. Chicago led by as many as 7 in the second quarter. Cleveland came back. They tied the game at halftime at 45. And right now the Cavs lead by 3 as we come up on 2 minutes remaining in the third. Michael Jordan, 5 of 18, only 11 points. Jordan with the good fake. The back tap handled by Elo. And the foul. Scottie Pippen charged with his third. So once again, the Cavaliers to the line.
The teams understand the importance of all the loose balls, so they'll do anything they can to produce turnovers. Pippen that time tried to jam the jump pass by Elo, the body contact and the foul.
Greg Elo spent 3 years with Houston. This is 6th season with Cleveland. He was a free agent steal by the Cavaliers. An excellent role player. He can play guard, small forward, very strong defensively. Cavaliers lead by 4. Price going for the steal. And at 40 left in the third. Cartwright stepping out to set the screen. Nance able to switch. Here's Jordan. And he was hacked. So Michael Jordan to the line.
Well, Jordan abandoning the pull-up jumper right now, taking the ball strong to the rim, knowing that he has so much hang time, the ability to draw fouls, perhaps that can get him on a good roll. Started out by making a couple free throws.
Hot Rod Williams called for his 4th 4-piece on Williams and Sanders for Chicago. Don Paxson with 4. 3 apiece on Pippen and Grant. Michael Jordan averaging 34 points per game throughout the playoffs. That goes back to the series against Miami and New York. He's averaged better than 32 in this series against Cleveland. Light pressure being shown by Chicago. Sanders back on the floor, able to move it down with 1:15 to go in the third. Elo looking to post up on Armstrong. Shot clock at 5. Here's Nance. Kept alive by Doherty. Pippen skying for the rebound. Armstrong. Cartwright. And the game is tied at 70.
That was very very poor job of paying attention to your man when the shot went up. Nobody checked that time. Doherty's responsibility. Check off Bill Cartwright. I don't think he got caught in any rotation that time.
Price attempting the three. Here comes Jordan. Michael Jordan cannot buy one. 5 for 20 for Jordan. 20 seconds left in the quarter. Here's Doherty. Yes. Cleveland leads by 2. Chicago will hold for 1. 15 seconds to go in the third.
Phil Jackson called for his spread offense, and now it will be Pippen trying to break down Sanders off the dribble with Jordan or BJ spotting up to the open shot.
Pippen with the spin. Crowd wanted to travel. Lenny Wilkins very upset. Looking for the travel. They did not get it. Instead of buzzer basket for Scottie Pippen. And the game is tied at 72 after 3 here in Richfield. All right, here's another look at the spin by Pippen.
And the officials saying that the hand in there by Sanders caused him to lose control when he went into the spin dribble. Therefore, it was no travel, but you can't convince Lenny Wilkins of that.
We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station. Pippen that concluded the third quarter. Cleveland Cavaliers wanted a travel call as Pippen hit the shot right at the buzzer. Let's listen in now as Lenny Wilkins pleads his case to the officials.
Hit the ball, he caught it, now take steps. He hit the ball. He never hit the ball. You guys don't listen. No, we did listen. He hit the ball. Right. As long as he caught it, now he took steps. You tell me that's not a ball? Yes, you're right.
You can argue that one all night. The deflection came, then Pippen re-grabbed the ball, got control. Lenny's saying then he hopped and took his steps, which would be a travel. Lenny's right. The officials saying there were no steps after he got control of the ball again after the deflection. And you know what? When he loses.
Fourth quarter is underway. Nance, that was the 24-second buzzer, but Sanders did get the shot off. Cavaliers now lead 74-72. Michael Jordan giving it up. Michael Jordan only 5 of 20 through 3 quarters for only 13 points. Elo went down, involved with Jordan, and the foul called on Elo. That is his second.
Well, a different way of trying to help Michael out, send him down into the post area, see if he can take Elo from the low post spot. So instead of your center, they're going to flash Jordan down into that block area. Elo with the body on, doesn't let him get to his spot, but the foul is called for the hold.
Scott Williams, check back in for Chicago up front along with Grant and Pippen, Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt. Now Sanders guarding Jordan. Here's Jordan with the step. Nance came over to help out. Fast break, Brandon, stopped by Armstrong. Good play by B.J. Armstrong, getting back to stifle Terrell Brandon.
Well, Brandon not quite sure what to do. He saw the Bulls defense coming back at him hard. He kind of got caught in the air, that moment of indecision. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Do I give it to a teammate? Very fortunate that the ball was knocked out of bounds.
Cliff Livingston checking back in, and Michael Jordan sits down. Minute 20 gone by in the fourth. Here's Nance. Doherty gets the new 24. Elo played by Pippen. Elo for 3. Cleveland 77. Chicago 72. Greg Elo hitting his second three-pointer of the night. Williams for Pippen. Would not fall for Scottie Pippen. And Doherty fouled by Pippen. His fourth.
What's happening now is Cleveland is starting to assert itself on the glass. The shot goes up. This should count as 1 point for Scottie Pippen. because it does go in, but changes its mind and just decides to go sit up on top.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Moment takes us back 4 weeks ago to Game 1 of the Cleveland-Boston series. Steve Kerr with the stunning 48-footer at the end of the third quarter as the Cavaliers went on to that convincing 101-76 victory over the Celtics. In recognition of this memorable moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Well, the Cavaliers in games 3, 4, and 5 were looking for the three-point shot on the subject of long opportunities. Tonight, 2 of 6. Rahj'iladelphia just buried one for his second of the game, so he has hit on both. Both Elo and Price have shown that they have the range from downtown. And the Cavaliers with a stunning 45% from three-point land against the Bulls this series. 2 minutes gone by in the fourth. Cavaliers have reeled off 5 straight points and lead at 77-72. Sanders with the step. Mike Sanders playing with 4 personal fouls. Extends to a 7-point Cleveland lead. It is their biggest of the game. Livingston tripped up. And that is number 5 by Sanders.
Normally, the Bulls defense, as we showed early in the game, closes the lane down. You don't get a clean look at the rim. Mike Sanders puts it on the floor, drives the lane. Nobody rotates over. Then you get a little bit pumped up because you score at the offensive end. You become overly aggressive at the defensive end and pick up those kind of fouls.
And Michael Jordan has checked back in. Sanders sits down. For the Chicago Bulls, it has come down to this to avoid going to another 7-game series as they did against the Knicks. They need Jordan to step up. Michael to this point, 5 of 20. Jordan, yes. And the Cavaliers now with a 79-74 lead. Forced out by Cartwright. Brandon beating Jordan and then rejected by Williams. Scott Williams had a couple of blocked shots in Chicago on Wednesday. Jordan finding Livingston and Elo with the rebound. Double team. Williams came from the blind side, but was called for the foul. Scott Williams looking for the steal off the surprise, picked up his third.
A moment ago, Terrell Brandon turned the corner, thought he had a clear path to the basket, but then as the defense rotated over, a much bigger Scott Williams gets both arms up. From behind now, Williams tries to get it when Nance isn't looking, gets a piece of the arm.
Ron Williams again drawing the double coverage, getting it out for Elo. Here's Pippen. Rebound Pippen. So the Bulls cut it to a 3-point Cavalier lead. 4 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter here at the Coliseum in Richfield. Nance from deep. Nance 11 of 18, 25 points to lead the Cavaliers. Cleveland 81, Chicago 76. The steal by Nance. Elo stripped by Jordan. 3-on-2, Pippen. Cavaliers with a 3-point advantage. Wilkins now with Brandon and Elo at the guards. Doherty, Williams, and Nance up front.
Wilkins just trying to buy some time for Mark Price, the guy he needs on the floor to direct this offense. They're trying to save him now for these last critical moments.
Hot Rod Williams off the fake. And it appears he's come up hobbling. May have pulled something with that move. Hot Rod in pain, indicating to the bench that he's all right. Jordan. Oh, what a move by Michael Jordan. Extending, he beat Brandon, and then he was able to hang. It cuts it to a three-point Cleveland lead, and the foul committed by Nance.
Well, Jordan knows he's got a little guy. They just couldn't get it to him quick enough. Cleveland did not react in time to help out, and then just a sensational move by Jordan, who was behind the backboard, couldn't decide which hand to shoot it with, still converts it, picks up a foul, and goes to the free throw line.
Ahmad Rashad back at Richfield Coliseum. I'm joined now by Kip Mata, a scout for the Portland Trailblazers. Now, as you look at this game, what concerns do you have, say, for instance, of Cleveland?
Well, Cleveland, you want to try to take away their set offense. You want to try to get them more into an up-tempo game.
Okay, and looking at the Chicago Bulls, what was Portland's concern with the Bulls?
Well, I think you want to try to do just the opposite. On their offense, they're so good in the open court is you want to keep Pippen from getting open court layups and making people better. Really keep them contained in a more half-court offense.
The obvious question is, which team does the Trailblazers prefer to play?
I don't think they have a preference at all. They just want to play.
All right, back to you, Mark.
All right, Ahmad. Kip Mata, scout for the Portland Trailblazers. Kip, the son of one-time NBA coach Dick Mata. Cavaliers 83 and the Bulls 81. And the foul is called. 6:21 remaining in this fourth quarter. Grant picks up number 4. Well, the Chicago Bulls have certainly had the edge off the boards right throughout the series until this evening. Cleveland with 4 more rebounds.
Bulls averaging 7 more rebounds a game coming into this one.
Another block for the Bulls. Livingston getting a piece of it, but Williams throws it home. Hot Rod Williams apparently came up with a cramp after that last bucket a moment ago, but says he's all right, able to hang in. He has 14 points. Cavaliers lead 85-81. Here's Jordan. Michael Jordan, 7 for 24. John Paxson is back, playing with the 4 fouls. Mark Price is back. Price stepped out. Price looking to avoid Paxson, went wide, and he stepped out. So it will be Chicago ball. Phil Jackson has Cartwright, Grant, and Livingston on the front line. Scottie Pippen getting a rest. Paxson and Jordan are at the guard. Jordan facing the double team. What a pass for Grant. Michael Jordan delivering to Horace Grant. 20 points for Grant. The Bulls are down by 2.
And Jordan actually wanted to pass to Cartwright, who had stepped out along the left baseline at the last second, saw Grant underneath, made the terrific feed.
We are down to 5 minutes remaining in the fourth. 5 on the shot clock. Elo with 3 on the 24, had to fire one off. Kept alive by Williams. Hot Rod Williams showing his quickness, getting inside, although the Bulls felt that he pushed off. And Phil Jackson walking the sidelines screaming at Joe Crawford.
And coaches can recognize on nights when you're working so hard, just trying to make good things happen, but the ball just seems to bounce the other way.
Livingston to the driving hook. Livingston to the tip. Cartwright not able to hit. Williams gets to it. Hot Rod Williams has emerged as a major factor here in the fourth quarter. The Cavaliers call for time. 4:24 remaining. Cavaliers with the timeout. They lead by 4. 4:24 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Cavaliers lead the Bulls 87-83.
A moment ago, Michael Jordan with his head up, penetrating in the lane, thinks that this defensive man is going to step up and that Cartwright will be the open man maybe stepping out, but instead, watch Grant slice under the basket and then the last second decision making by Jordan to produce the easy score.
Tonight, not the usual explosives from Michael Jordan and Mark Price. At one stretch, Jordan missed 7 consecutive shots, only 7 for 24, and Price 4 of 15. Cleveland, though, has received help from other areas, in particular the man with the ball, Larry Nance, coming through with 25. Hot Rod Williams with a strong game off the boards and 16 points. Shot clock at 4. Here's Nance. Lost it.
Down the stretch, these last 4 minutes, the big men for Cleveland on the glass is going to be the biggest factor, the second and third efforts. And can they shut down the lanes on the penetration like Jordan just then, taking it to the hoop?
So Jordan has 20, and he has brought the Chicago Bulls within 2. 3:45 to go in the fourth.
This is no time for fatigue to set in on that front line of Cleveland.
And Mark Price continues to have his shooting problems. 4 of 16. Pippen rebounded by Jordan. Paxson, yes. John Paxson with only a second field goal. He's been in foul trouble throughout, but he has tied the game at 87. Cleveland led by as many as 7. It's been close throughout. Here's Nance dumping it off. Doherty, yes, and it counts. A foul committed by Pippen. That is number 5 on Scottie Pippen.
Well, Jordan is really struggling shooting from the floor, only 8 for 25, but Jordan works to do things that help his team win. That is one big rebound there for the Chicago Bulls. Then at this end for Cleveland, Doherty with the big basket and the opportunity now for a three-point play.
Doherty, 6 of 7 from the line, 18 points. 11 rebounds despite that sprained middle finger. He has played with pain right throughout. Cavaliers have a 3-point lead. Just under 3 remaining in the fourth. Cleveland hoping to send it back to Chicago for a 7th and final game. Michael Jordan beating Craig Elo off the dribble to cut it to a 1-point Cleveland edge.
With the set that Chicago is running and with Elo forcing Jordan baseline, there's no time for the big men to wait. They've got to rotate immediately to get to Jordan, or else he's at the rim finishing, or you need to change where you force him.
Nance changed his mind, and it's picked off by Jordan. He wanted to hold up, saw he did not have the shot. We're coming up on 2 minutes remaining in the fourth. Out of 6 on the 24. Here's Pippen. Yes. So the Bulls have taken a 1-point lead. The Cavaliers have called for time. It's a 20-second timeout. So that leaves Cleveland with only 1 timeout remaining.
And Michael Jordan is tired. He's a tired player. He's worked very, very hard. He is not shooting the ball well, but he's doing a lot of other things like offensive rebounding, breaking people down off the dribble. And here, with Elo letting him go baseline and no rotation, that might be the easiest score of the evening for Michael Jordan.
Physically, it's been a difficult stretch for Jordan, bothered by congestion, sore throat, cold. We told you earlier about the injured wrist, but it may be that he has just had a bad game. That does happen from time to time. I thought Craig Elo did a nice job against Jordan defensively earlier, but he's a guy that we talked about it yesterday with Elo. Basically, he stops himself.
He's got 8 assists. He has 6 rebounds. He's forced a couple turnovers. He's just not shooting the ball well tonight.
Minutes remaining in the fourth. The Bulls 91, and the Cavaliers 90. Earlier, Chicago led by as many as 7. Cleveland has led by as many as 7. Here's Price on a good shot, rebounded by Pippen. Cavaliers able to get back. Pippen, he's fouled. The hesitation move by Pippen drawing the foul on Nance. That's 4 on Nance. Both teams now with 4 team fouls. So it's a non-shooting affair. It will be Chicago inbounding, but first a timeout is taken by Phil Jackson. 1:43 left. In the fourth, the Bulls with a 1-point lead. Back at the Coliseum in Richfield, Ohio. Very nice production value. Did you arrange that song?
Nothing to do with it.
As I said, it was very nice. The timeout situation. Chicago with 220, Cleveland 1 remaining. The next foul for either club puts them over the limit. Michael Jordan with 9 of his 22 points in this fourth quarter, so he has come on in the fourth. Chicago leads by 1. 1:35 remaining in the fourth. Here is Jordan to the fadeaway, and he will go to the line.
Michael hung just long enough to let the defensive player's arm make contact. The screen away by Grant frees him up, and now he knows Nance is going to challenge. Just the extension by Nance catches Jordan on the forearm.
Foul on Nance, his 5th. Nance, high man for Cleveland with 25. Pippen leading Chicago with 28. And the Bulls have done the job at the line. 18 of 19 from the line. Chicago by 2. Hoping to wrap the series and then open up game 1 of the NBA Final against Portland at home on Wednesday. Cleveland looking to force it to a 7th and final game in Chicago on Sunday night.
And last game for Chicago, 25 out of 35. They missed 10 free throw attempts. Tonight, trying to find a way to win, doing it from the free throw line.
Shot clock at 7. Nance from deep. Air ball. It was deflected.
The lift in the legs. Slowly you could see that the Cavalier front line was getting tired. The Bulls with their quickness, athleticism, still going at him.
Michael Jordan able to recapture. Here's Pippen, wide open. And it's rebounded by Doherty. 50 seconds remaining. Price from 3. Yes! And he's tied the game at 93.
Well, you knew he was pulling up for that 3 from the time he got the outlet pass, and it was 2-2. He was pulling up if you got to look at it.
Here's Jordan. Yes, and it counts. Michael Jordan right back, hit on the reach-in, and he'll go to the line. The foul committed by Elo.
Down 3 at the time. Price pulls up, gets a clean-looking transition and knocks it down. Then Jordan, I think he gets an assist and a basket at the other end. He passes to himself, loses it, tips it, goes in.
Although it was not a usual sensational type game for Michael Jordan, he would have to step up in the fourth quarter with the Cavaliers at one stretch leading by 7. Well, he has certainly accomplished that. 13 points for Jordan through the first 3 quarters, and he has scored 13 here in the fourth. And Michael will go to the line. A moment ago, that man, Mark Price, tied the game at 93 by hitting a 3-pointer. And now Jordan to the line, 6 for 6 from the line, hoping to extend to a 3-point Chicago lead. 37 seconds remaining in the fourth. It is Chicago 96 and Cleveland 93. Price lost it off his foot, and it will be Chicago possession.
Just a little hedge move defensively. The step out by the screener's man forced Price to try and go a little bit wider. The turnover takes place.
Well, Cleveland is over the limit, so a foul does put Pippen on the line. That's number 5 on Hot Rod Williams. 22 seconds to go in the fourth.
Cartwright does his job, steps out. Price has the right leg extended. The ball hits the side of his foot, out of bounds.
Scottie Pippen, 6 for 6 from the line. He has had a terrific evening. 28 points for Pippen, along with 12 rebounds.
We had talked earlier in the game about the fact that Price, coming into this game, had 24 assists and 17 turnovers. Not a real good ratio. Tonight, 8 assists, 5 turnovers.
Seconds remaining. Cleveland has 1 timeout left. They're down by 4, and the foul will put Cleveland at the line. It's John Jordan. That is not what the Bulls wanted to do. It stops the clock, and it sends Price to the line.
Well, you assume that Price is going to make his 2 free throws, which brings it back to a 2-point game. It gives him a chance to press, go for the steal, or foul immediately, and then put Chicago back on the line.
Price at 95% from the line, tops of the NBA in that department. He's 3 of 3 tonight. Bulls lead by 3, 17 and 5/10 seconds remaining in the 4th.
There's a little box-out situation taking place.
Price missing the shot on purpose, but it did not work. Price just went over in a collision, and a foul is given by Doherty. I don't know. What do you think about that? That move by Price.
Well, it's happened. It's over with. He almost came up with the rebound. He didn't.
All it would do, Mike, is bring them within 1. They would basically be in the same situation.
Still have to get the ball back. Still have to foul. Hey, Mark Price trying to figure out a way to win. He did it. Didn't come up with it. Jordan questioned whether or not he had gotten rid of the ball before the foul took place, which would have been an easy layup for Chicago. So now he'll have to try and make 2 at the free throw line.
Jordan is 7 of 7 from the line. And now Chicago with a 98-94 lead. I wonder if that was a decision of Mark Price, because that's the type of situation where you don't want to tell your teammates, you want everybody to be surprised. That's the way you succeed. And now a timeout called by Lenny Wilkins. 11 seconds remaining, 4th quarter, and the Bulls now lead 99-94.
Well, the Bulls players all rallying around Michael Jordan. They know that he struggled for most of the game, yet they also know that if there's one guy that's going to be able to turn it around by himself, it's going to be Michael Jordan, through a lot of hard work, a lot of effort. Phil Jackson acknowledges a little bit by rubbing the back of Michael's head, and the rest of his teammates all go over and share in congratulating what he's done here in the 4th quarter in particular.
The Cavaliers are out of timeouts. They are down by 5 with 11 seconds remaining.
This still is not over with. There'll be just over 11 seconds remaining. You go for the quick score, and it doesn't matter whether you get a 3 first and a 2 later, or a 2 first and a 3 later. You've got to have a combination of 5 points. You take the best open quick shot and score, try with a steal, and then if you don't get it, you've got to foul immediately to put them back on the line and hope they miss.
Michael Jordan taking over in the 4th quarter. 29 points for the game, 23 in the second half, 16 in the 4th quarter.
Tell your team about putting the ball on the floor and the ability of picking up a 3 by going strong to the basket. If the Bulls should challenge, try for the block, perhaps you get fouled as you're dunking it. There are a couple ways of coming up with those 3s.
And the Cleveland Cavaliers are hearing it from this capacity crowd. It has been a splendid season for the Cavs. Knocking off the New Jersey Nets in the first round, beating Boston in 7, winning 57 during the regular season. By Price, guarded by Jordan. Nance for 3. Rebound Jordan, time running out. The Chicago Bulls are headed back to the NBA championship round. They have defeated the Cleveland Bulls in 6 games. They do it here tonight by the score of 99-94. Michael Jordan, Rahj'ilo, congratulating each other. Let's go over to Ahmad, who is with Michael.
All right, Mark. Michael, another tough series for the Bulls and a tough shooting night for you, but when it's all on the line, you came through.
You know, Ahmad, I was fighting myself the whole game. I wanted to win so bad, and I wanted to try to calm myself down and make a contribution somehow. And I was fighting myself 3 quarters. And the 4th quarter, finally, I started saying prayers to myself. Just take your time and relax. Let the game come to you. And it did. I want to give my teammates a lot of credit, boy. They hung in there when I was shooting real bad.
All right, now I know that this game is just over, but in the back of your mind, there are some thoughts about the Portland Trail Blazers.
Not right now. We think about them over the weekend.
All right, man. Good luck to you, man. Great showing. All right, Marv.
All right, Michael Jordan, who said he was fighting himself and then obviously won the battle in the 4th quarter as he turned it on, leading the Bulls to the victory. Nice touch a moment ago. The Cavaliers, as they headed back to the locker room, were given a standing ovation from this crowd for a terrific season. We'll be right back. The Chicago Bulls, down by as many as 7, came on to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they will go up against the Portland Trail Blazers during the course of the regular season. The Bulls won both meetings, winning in Portland in a terrific double overtime game. Jordan had 40, Clyde Drexler with 38, and then in Chicago, a game seen on NBC, the Bulls knocked off the Trail Blazers 111-91.
What you're going to see is 2 teams full of athletes, guys who can really get after the defensive end and push the ball back down. It's going to be an exciting finale.
All right, final score once again here at the Coliseum in Richfield. The Bulls of Chicago, 99. The Cleveland Cavaliers, 94. Coming up after your late local news, it is The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, band leader Branford Marsalis, and special guest Mel Gibson. For Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad, I'm Marv Albert. It's the Chicago Bulls and the Portland Trail Blazers meeting for the NBA championship beginning next Wednesday, right here on NBC.